Yeah,
But what's the difference between what I'm doing and what he's doing?
Honestly, man, I mean, because I was reading about all this morning and how he's under fire and it's everywhere and people, and even just now, just going back over it to check what I read, and there's people who were like saying like, man, I just spent $90 on tickets to go see him and now I'm bummed out. Now, if it's the whole thing about the mistreatment of the women on the show, I get it.
Yeah.
But with the whole, oh, he told these stories and they weren't true, I was like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer because, I like those stories for the truthfulness of it. And so much of the stand-up was built around that. However, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny. I think, and I blame mostly Twitter, all social media for this, but the veil between the entertainer and the person has become so thin that people are not able to like enjoy what the person does or their work. They have to have a personal attachment to them. And then if this doesn't match up what's in their head, they get really offended and feel betrayed.
Because before we get started, Martin was telling me, I found this funny. So Martin was telling me, and this is a good thing to bring up because I want to ask you this. Mm-hmm. Because this does relate to me a little bit. So Hassan Minaj.
Yeah.
Hassan Minaj is a comedian. Did he get started on The Daily Show?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I like about him? He's got those Indian eyes. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of Indian men, no matter how grown they get, they got those child eyes right there. Like they look like those big-eyed children pictures.
Well, just Indian people in general tend to have big eyes.
Okay, but maybe I just don't notice it on women because women have. You just expect
especially the women have big eyes.
I just don't because I expect women to have big eyes.
Okay, all right.
I want women to have big eyes, but guys, Indian dudes.
He's got eyes like Aaron Varghese.
Yeah, and Aaron Varghese got big ass eyes.
Yeah.
I have an Indian friend of mine who was just in town last week, and it's just something about. With Indian man, not all of them, but about say 90% of them, when they grow up, they still got them 8-year-old eyes. They still look like they be eating milk and cookies and shit. and it's a good thing. I'm not making fun of them.
Right.
They're very adorable eyes on a man.
True.
I mean, he got a beard and everything, but I can't see him up with them eyes.
Got big eyes. Yeah.
Still got them preschool eyes. But Martin, you were telling me something very interesting. I was telling Martin about all the people that are kind of getting caught up, and you heard about these people this weekend. Some of these people deserve it. Some of them, I don't know, but it sounds like they might deserve it. And so Martin was saying, well, did you hear who else got caught up? And you told me that Hasan Minhaj was one of them.
Yeah.
So what happened with him?
Well, I mean, on one front, he's getting flack because the women of color, especially the Daisy women who worked on his show, have left in tears saying they were treated horribly.
So did he treat the white women differently?
You know what? There's a lot of details missing out of their stories, but that's what it sounds like. They just said like, everybody thinks he's progressive, but he treats women badly. So he's on his show. He's
not one of those guys who's getting sexual harassment.
No, it wasn't that.
Okay, he wasn't that. Treating people like shit. He's just mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe that's what it takes to run a show, because you keep hearing that about people who run the host of shows.
I thought about this because Drew Barrymore, I think she's getting caught up because she was just going to keep our show going. That's all.
Yeah.
I heard she's pretty nice to people. But of course, it was
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres was the main one that came out.
And James Corden.
And your boy, you love him. You love his show. You say you watch his show all the time, every night. Jimmy Fallon.
I like Jimmy Fallon.
That was you. That wasn't you. Okay. All right. Man, I know so many people who watch shows, So Jimmy,
you take that back.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon was accused of getting.
Yeah.
I just wondered. I wondered the same thing. I'm not trying to say excuse these people, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. If I had a show that big back in the day, my name would have been in the news.
Of course.
I would have been up in there.
Yeah, the way Tom Cruise cussed that crew out, it would have been like, oh yeah, Corey does it every week.
Yeah, man.
Every couple of weeks, we go through that. It's no big deal anymore.
I don't want to say that you treat people like this, but I don't know, man. And when you have a big crew of people, I mean, sometimes I think you just get caught up in perfecting the show
or maybe there's pressure from the network, like you got to do this, or things aren't working. But as for Hasan Minhaj, the other thing that probably the bigger thing he's getting busted on is stories he's told in his stand-up that he has since admitted were not necessarily true, but they were emotional truths. And like the big stand-up that put him on the map, that got him the Patriot Act, that got to where everybody knew his name. And it was a great stand-up thing, and it was more like a talk. But he went on a big thing about a girl in high school he was supposed to go to prom with, and how her family rejected him because he was Indian. And it's a whole big thing. And he tells that story, another story with his family that, it kind of, makes you tear up. And then there's a separate story he told about when he was doing the Patriot Act, that somebody sent an envelope full of white powder to his daughter, and they thought it could be anthrax. And the wife was like, "This ever happens again, I'm leaving you."
Whoa.
Well, as it turns out, neither of those stories are true.
So.
And there was another story about a FBI agent who was like infiltrated their community, which they were like, yeah, there's nobody can find that agent that he's talking about.
Okay, so
from dummy, us, clothes, culture, money, I have opinions. No, you don't.
lying ass. See, I know. No,
I think it's a really good, funny special. And comedians all the time tell a story, and a lot of times I'm listening, I'm like, that shit ain't happening. You full of shit. Or they're like, true, especially when they go like, true story. And I'm like, okay, it's not a true story.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're telling this for a joke.
Yeah.
But this being something that wasn't pure stand-up, and he's got photos of the girl and all about how he stalked her on Facebook and all this, like he really went into this. And what made it special was the truth of it. Like normally I'd be like, well, whatever. But the way he went in on this, you're like, wow, that was a powerful story. And then they go like, oh, okay. That was made up.
Well, let me listen to a little bit more of him right here, because I told Martin, I said something that might be slightly racist, but which I'm gonna repeat again, because because I want to get in trouble too for some reason.
See, it's such bullshit, right?
Watch out, boys. Your pre-cum will get girls pregnant.
So that never happened. It's bullshit. He never had sex ed. He didn't go to school. He never had a teacher. Well, he has a lot of energy, man.
He does.
The thing that I told Martin that might have been slightly racist, I said, man, I saw him over at the Velveeta Rooms, a very small comedy club here in Austin. And Martin's like, are you sure you did? And I was like, you know what? Maybe that's just another brown guy. Maybe I didn't. But I looking at him, I swear it could have been, it might, no, you know what? I'm not sure.
Don't look at anyone.
Stop it. I saw some dude that looked like him. Because I want to know, because, and it's probably not him, because the guy I saw, I heard he was very popular, and it was during the Moon Tower. That's a comedy club here in town.
Oh, okay.
I mean, comedy festival.
Well,
so,
then that could have been him.
That could have been
if it was during Moon Tower.
So maybe he was just there doing a little something. It might have been him, but I know that when he was there, like he comedians are like this. They sometimes just work on stuff. They just go and hang out. They just think it off the top of their head, and just saying things. Yeah. Because he wasn't as funny that night.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But anyway, my question for you is, we do some comedy now, y'all, and I will tell you right now, I embellish kind of shit if I just don't straight up just make up things. But I do it because I think people know I'm joking.
I will say that with our previous tour, you told some jokes that I thought like, and then find out that they were stuff I thought you exaggerated was actually true. I was horrified.
I want to know what those things are now. Because I'm not going to say it now.
But
I'm not
going to say it now. Some of it, I'd up there laughing along and making fun of you. And then to find out that shit really happened, I was like, oh, shit.
I want to know what this is. Comedy, there's a lot of comedy to be found in truth.
Yes.
So but Martin was feeling really bad for it. So I was like, even I had to tell Martin, I had to console him. Like he was the one getting involved. Like, man, it's okay. I was like, I hope those people didn't hurt you. Laughing at you. I was like, that's what they were supposed to do. I was like, no, but I want to know what that was now. But so, what's the difference between Because I'm not trying to sit up here and say I'm doing this now because of what this guy is. I'm trying to backtrack. No, I'll tell you all the time, y'all. It's a joke with me on this show. People even come up and say, "Man, that didn't happen. He's exaggerating." But what's the difference between what I'm doing and what he's doing?
Honestly, man, I mean, because I was reading about all this morning and how he's under fire and it's everywhere and people, and even just now, just going back over it to check what I read, and there's people who were like saying like, man, I just spent $90 on tickets to go see him, and now I'm bummed out. Now, if it's the whole thing about the mistreatment of the women on the show, I get it.
Yeah.
But with the whole, oh, he told these stories and they weren't true, I was like, yeah, it's kind of a bummer because, I like those stories for the truthfulness of it. And so much of the stand-up was built around that. However, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny. I think, and I blame mostly Twitter, all social media for this, but the veil between the entertainer and the person has become so thin that people are not able to like enjoy what the person does or their work. They have to have a personal attachment to them. And then if this doesn't match up what's in their head, they get really offended and feel betrayed. Yeah. And I was just like, y'all got to step back and stop letting this affect you so hard. I mean, yeah, okay, he told that story and it wasn't exactly, true, but he's a comedian on stage. I don't know if you should take that as gospel.
Do y'all go to comedy to seek truth? Do you think like name a popular show? Like I remember Eddie Murphy, one of his biggest shows was Eddie Murphy Raw. Mm-hmm. He talked about how his aunt looked like a Bigfoot and put her face in water to catch fish. I mean, do you really believe that shit happened?
Right.
No, man,
that's your aunt right there. She don't look like no Bigfoot. You lied to me. Yeah. I hate you now.
If he presented it like a story, and he stopped and just like you say, he was presenting evidence and all that. Maybe
he did.
Okay,
he did. I get it to a degree. Like I said, he presented it like evidence, like with slides, and I went on Facebook and I found her and did all this. So he went the whole mile. He went the extra to make it seem like everything was real. Okay. So I get
that's
that
a little
feeling.
bit of deception when you start presenting shit like it's a goddamn TED Talk or something.
Yeah, which he did.
Because everything that we do at our show, I make sure to put the pictures I put up there. Stupid.
Yes.
They're ridiculous.
Yes, you do.
They're the worst Photoshops ever. Okay.
Yes.
I make them extra stupid. All right.
Yeah.
So when that stuff goes up, there's no confusion. But if you're presenting stuff like evidence, I can see that being a little bit of deception.
No. Look, if there is a line, he crossed it. However, I think the response is disproportionate to the offense.
Yeah, somebody said, did Richard Pryor's dog really talk? No, I don't think Richard Pryor. I don't think the dog next door actually came up to Richard Pryor and said, "Hey, Richard." That's from one of Richard Pryor's shows.
No, but
man.
now you know that didn't actually.
Yeah, but that's exaggerated.
Yeah, exaggerated.
He presented stuff that could be factual, and he presented that factual.
Yes.
That could be a little bit of deception, man.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't want to, because I was going to say I was never at these shows, and I never want to sit up here and tell people how they should feel about something they spent money on. Because my whole thing at first was going to be like, well, were you entertained? But there is a difference between telling stories and exaggerating. I mean, people have a feeling that you're doing it. Listen, your uncle does that shit.
Yes.
Your uncle gets drunk at the damn turkey table or Thanksgiving table. Everybody knows Joe lying.
Yeah, right,
but everybody's still entertained.
Yeah.
But when you start, I tell you what the difference is. When you start telling stories and tall tales, and maybe even lying just for a laugh, people, they're laughing and they're having fun and they kind of forgive you because even you know you're lying. Mm-hmm. And everybody else knows you're lying. It's just a given. But I think that he was telling these stories to gain some sort of emotional support out of people. He was asking for these people to feel for him. He was asking for these people to elicit some sort of sympathy for him. And so people were giving a more personal part of them to him. Mm-hmm. And so that's a deception. I get that.
Yeah, no, I know I sound like I'm backtracking, but I do get it. Because reading it all, I was like, oh, I was bummed out. I mean, I was bummed out too. I was like, oh man, that's, those stories, like they meant something. You get to end that special and you kind of tear up at parts of it. Yeah. And like, oh, okay. Well,
So,
it kind of sucks
yeah.
you did that. But it's not enough for me to go, well, screw that guy. I'm done with him.
Looking at this, yeah, I could see how people could feel deceived, but would I be mad that I personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't think I'd be mad like, man, I spent $90 on this. About $90 is actually pretty cool. I mean, $90 is that's cheap for a show these days.
Sometimes, yeah.
You're like, yeah, well, shit, it's cheap until you got to spend that shit on bills or something. when you got to eat. Yeah, that shit's expensive. You got to save up for that shit.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know if I would feel that deceived. I would say, was I entertained at the show?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I come back to that because I go like, well, it sucks because so much of what that show meant to me was, how I felt emotionally, but I was entertained.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, but then some
it's
people,
it's not like a complete loss, like a zero, and but I don't know. But so now you got people going like, well, he's not even that funny. You're like, well, okay, he was funny up until you found this out.
Well, when I saw him, he wasn't that funny. If that was him. I really want to know now if that was him that I saw, because I feel like it could be. And I'm just
Well, do you remember which year it was?
this.
Oh, just this year?
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if you could look up the Moon Tower lineup.
But you know what? I will.
But I do think he was here for that.
If I remember correctly, he was not as animated as he was. It's a small stage though.
Yeah.
And it just looked like he was kind of making up some of this stuff on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was telling stories,
Mm-hmm.
and they would, they didn't have the punch that like I'm seeing with him on stage.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
here,
yeah.
Or how a good storyteller does. It looks like they were, kind of trying to think of it as they went along.
Workshopping.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah. I mean, well, no, I mean, not make. Yeah. I guess they do call it that when they got some material and they're not sure about, they'll go to a small club and just kind of get it out there for the audience, see what's playing, what works, what doesn't, figure out ways to fine tune it.
I just wanted to discuss that with you, Mark.
No,
because comedians make up stuff all the time, and I'm guilty as much as anybody else. Probably at the top of the list. I'm guilty as hell of making stuff up. Y'all know that I embellish things, anything for a laugh.
You embellish. I don't know if you make it up, but you do embellish.
But I don't stop and get serious and be like, y'all, look how this person hurt me. Here they are right here. Can I get you know what I mean? I'm waiting for that, the audience to be like, oh, yeah, I know, right? I don't do that. I ain't never been to a show and asked for any kind of sympathy. I think, otherwise, why you at a comedy show?
Yeah. Well, he didn't make it sad. It was like, this is a thing that happened to me, and he was telling jokes the whole time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. He didn't stop to let me get serious though. He was joking about it the whole time, but It was that's shitty that this happened to me. But then, he comes out, but in the end, everything worked out and she's happy and I'm married and it don't even matter.
It don't look like it didn't work out because it's on your ass right now.
I guess she gets the last laugh. Like, why you get there and say that shit about me?
Hey, somebody found it funny at the end. She laughing her ass off right now. That's why I didn't go out with your bitch ass. Your lying bitch ass. But she came out like, you know what? He turned me down. Shit, I asked him for the day. He said, his exact words, get your brown ass away from me. Yeah, was it a white girl he asked out though?
Yeah.
Turns out it was not even a white girl. Some brown girl asked him, you brown bitch, get out of here. None of this shit happened like you said. I was the victim. Tell jokes long enough to see yourself become the villain. Those childlike eyes can't help you now, Hassan. Well, I hope it works out, man.
Yeah.
I hope it works out. Anyway.
But yeah, and all this came from an interview he did with the New Yorker.
Oh, well, that was an interview.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even a stage thing he did. Some of it was on stage and some of it was from an interview.
No. I'm saying like this whole thing of it coming out that this stuff not being true. He did a thing with the New Yorker. I mean, they probably asked him. They were like, "Hey, we kind of looked into this," and he's like, well, they were emotionally true.
Okay, so he was ready to admit it too. He probably knew he was about to get caught.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, he probably thinking right now, what do I do? I keep lying? I just go ahead.
They're true. You know what I'm saying? No.
No. It's either true or not. Right now.
Right.
I don't know, Martin. Is it true or not? I don't know.
Depends on what you call true.
Yes. Martin, they were true-ish. No, you full of shit.
They're more true than not true. More or less.
Yo, get out of here. The interview's done. Pick his ass up and throw him out. Nah, have him take the stairs.